different sections, so I'm thinking, yeah, I have to be an idea generator somewhat for other people too. Also, you have, your basic responsibilities as a bassist to the band and to the tune. And in a sense, not only sonically, it's a completely different thing in the more space, but also just purely from connection, basically, I feel like, yes, I'm talking to 15 guys here now, and I have responsibility to 15 guys to keep the time and the harmony and everything, and lines together. Now it's just two guys, and it's easier to talk to two people than 16, So in a sense, it's, although when we started playing, it did feel like the space is too much. We're not used to this kind of sonic space. At the same time, after a short period of adjustment, it feels right. It just feels like, oh, it's two guys and just three of us talking, and we can make sort of quicker, maybe, and further reaching decisions as far as what's going on, as far as how we converse. Interesting about what Levin was saying before, you hear a lot from different soloists, especially about like piano comes about how the right cymbal feels and how this and that. At the same time, just by virtue of playing this music for so long and having to do researches, to a certain point, I'm a disciple of Mingus, and Mingus was the kind of guy. To him, anytime it would be feeling good staying in one place, he would break it down. He wanted his soloist to be uncomfortable all the time. Because his idea was that not only that it's more interactive with the soloist, it also makes him reach deeper. Which is, it's like an ethereal concept, and you would listen to some Mingus stuff and it would be very easy. You would be like, oh man, they never get anywhere because he keeps trying to change it up. But, to a certain level, it works, and to a certain level, I guess you need to have a measure of everything, what you do, because I do feel on some very, very straight ahead gigs when I basically just accompany the singer on upright bass for an hour, and I feel like once in a while I spice it up. I do introduce this extramarital affair, In the middle of the most straight moment, I would either stop or I would, play a few more notes. I would make like, this, syncopation for 2 bars that seemingly the tune would not be calling for. But I would introduce it, and once in a while I get this response overall from the music. Oh yeah, it stirs it up. It's like what Dean was saying, it's cooking, but once in a while you come and do this. And you help it to cook better. And about the pianist, I know it's a very touchy subject for the soloist, because sometimes you would hear a great pianist and you would talk to somebody about him, and the other person would say like, yeah, he's great, but he can't come. Meaning like, I don't like he's a compliment, I like what he does with me. And I remember Jimmy Heath, a great tenor player from the Heath family, he helped me a lot when I was trying to legalize myself and stuff. He's very, very sweet guy, and I remember he was telling people that the first time he played with Herbie Hancock on some Blue Note date in the 60s when Herbie became famous, Donald Byrd brought him to New York. He called him not Herbie Hancock, but Herbie Handcuff. Because he said he would play all those chords just so long instead of like like C7 chord right away, he would play it in like this kind of configuration. He would alter it right away. And Jimmy, who comes from more like a traditional swing / bebop background, playing with early Miles, early Bird. Bird and Dizzy Gillespie and people like that. To him it was like, oh, I'm not used to that. But that's part of Herbie's magic, you know. He would play that chord and then he would see how you react. And then maybe he would retract and not play anything with you. And when you would expect that he would play something, he would be some space. Because space is, you know, the pause is sometimes the most valuable sound you make. And then he would play something more straight, like Jimmy Keith would expect. And then he would put some spice in it again somewhere. And I think sometimes that kind of playing, it excites you, but you will not feel like it's in your way, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Because it's conversational. And that's, to me, that's some of the highest art forms, you know, especially if we're alluding to Miles' bands all the time. When you listen to Miles, the conversational aspect of it is really what gets you. And they never rehearsed like back in those days, the quintet days, because Miles used to say, we don't know what we're going to play, how you can rehearse what you don't know. He would just call tunes commonly played around, and they would play them. But the way they would take it to different parts, that's still mind-blowing. And that's why we all attracted to that. And to me, that's the conversational aspect to it. That's the, you know, that's where the music comes from. It comes from folklore. It comes from the folk music. In folk, it's always call and response. And that made its way into the modern jazz, into the modern jazz rock fusion, into the modern Latin jazz and all those things. And that, to me, my favorite bands are the ones that really have that conversational aspect present. Maybe you guys have more questions?
Yeah, you guys have a few questions?
We'll take I think we could take a little break here, just for maybe 10 minutes. Nicotine in the blood.